morning. I cried for almost 3 hours.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Grace, and on this channel I talk about my weight loss, my lifestyle, and my faith. So today I'm going to be talking about 20 lessons 2020 taught me. Before I jump into it, don't forget to like and share this video, click the subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you don't miss an update. At the ending of 2020, I brought out my notebook and I wrote down 20 lessons 2020 taught me, and I'm going to be sharing it to you guys. So let's get started. First lesson 2020 taught me: you can't change people. Oh my goodness. You can't change people. So in life, sometimes we get stuck in this phase of wanting someone to be the way we want the person to be, or do the things we want the person to do. And when the person is not like that, we now come up with this approach of trying different things to change them or to change their mind. The truth is, you can't change anybody. If the person starts doing what you want them to do for you, or starts acting the way you want them to act, that's because they've made a sole decision to do that. It's not because you told them to do that. And even if someone begins to change because of you, or you think that the person has started changing, the person's pattern has started changing how you want, and you feel like it's because of you, over time it may change. If situations change, it may change. If you said do this because of this, when the first situation changes, the person may likely go back to doing what they used to do. So you cannot change people, and I feel like that's a very important lesson for our youths and young people today. The next lesson is life is precious, live it well. Oh my gosh, if I didn't value my life before, in 2020 I valued my life so much more. When COVID happened and there was a pandemic and there was lockdown and there was so many things, there was like chaos all over the world. Like, it was a world crisis. When there was a world crisis, I was like, I do not want to pass on having regrets. I do not want to be in a situation where I didn't live my life to the fullest. Like, there's just so many thoughts running through my head. Everything was just like falling down, and I was like, life is so important. Oh my gosh, I have so many things I want to do on earth. I was like, oh, you know, the awakening moment. So the next lesson I learned is it's okay to take a break sometimes. So when I mean to take a break, I mean to like just pause and think about life, or do something different than you were doing before. I am a student and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a solopreneur. I do everything on my own, from running my blog to social media platforms to YouTube to writing my book. Every aspect of my business, I do it by myself. There's always something to be done. There's always something to check off my list, right? So I'm always in this phase of running up and down and just doing one thing or other, and at some point you get burnt out. So even if you're going after your life's dream, going after your purpose, doing what you love doing, going after your passion, just know that sometimes it's okay to take a break. Don't run yourself down. Don't push yourself to the limit. Don't push yourself to your breaking point where you can no longer stand anymore. Like, it wouldn't kill you if you stop whatever you're doing and come back. If for anything, you come back with a fresher mind, a fresher body, and you'll be amazed what a break can do for you. Next one is people make time for what's important. Some persons make excuses for some people and be like, they are not doing this because of this, or they're not doing this because of that, or whatever. You keep making excuses for them. But the truth of the matter is, if it was important to them, they will make time to do that thing. If it was a priority to them, they will make time for that thing. So don't force issues, don't force people, don't force situations. If something is important to somebody, they will make time to do it, no matter what. People make time for what's important. Take note of that. People are different. Do not judge. So in the book of Matthew 7:1, it says, judge not, so ye be not judged. That means do not judge, so you will not be judged as well. So I've always known that as a Christian and as a believer, you should not judge people, you should not judge circumstances, and just so many things. But in 2020, I got a different perspective of that verse, do not judge. There were so many things that I did not understand in the past that made me ask so many questions, and that would eventually lead to judgment, and I would be judging that person or judging the situation in my head and just being very hypocritical about some things. But in 2020, I looked at so many things and so many situations in a different point of view. I got a different perspective of people, I got a different perspective of situations, and I was like, wow, I've never looked at it this way. So I came to the conclusion that People are different, or people have different things going on for them. You should not judge them, no matter what. There shouldn't be an excuse for you to judge them. Do not judge. Period. Period. The next lesson I learned is show up and don't give up. Showing up in your career, showing up in your academics, showing up in business, showing up in your life, for your showing friends, up for yourself, showing up for your family, showing up for so many things. You get burnt out sometimes. You feel weak. You feel tired. So many times you want to take a break, but no matter what, don't give up and still show up. In 2020, I had this serious burnout. Like, I was overwhelmed with a lot of things. I was stressed out over my head, and I was like, adulthood is calm. I had so many things to deal with. Like, my to-do list was flowing
like a dreamer.
At some point, I was so tired. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Can't I just sit down, relax, and be taken care of?
Must I work? Why is it so stressful? Why is hustling so stressful? Oh my gosh.
Like, me and stress were rolling together. But after a while, I came to the conclusion that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep showing up no matter what. When I get tired and I take a break, I'm going to pick myself up. So show up and don't give up. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to sit back and think, but show up and don't give up.
Period.
The next one is discipline is very important. Discipline is simply doing what is right even when you don't feel like it. That's my own definition of discipline. I feel like discipline is very, very important, but it's not always easy to cultivate. For you to be able to discipline yourself, you have to decide to live a particular way of life. You have to say, where I want to live my life. These are things I cannot do. These are places I cannot go. These are the kind of people I cannot roll with or hang out with. You just need to make some certain policies for yourself and decide to stick with it. You have to make some certain decisions about your life and have the integrity to go along with it. I decided to cultivate a certain pattern to follow, and when I started doing that, I realized a lot of things changed for good in my life. So discipline is essential. It's like extremely important. The next one is you receive what you believe you deserve. Some persons don't feel like they can achieve a certain thing in their life. Some persons feel like they can't go to a certain height in their life. They can't go to a certain level, or they can't do some certain things. It's just their mindset. Once you start believing you can't do some certain things, you end up not being able to do that thing. It's not magic. It's just your words went forth and your mind accepted it and your body followed. When you start believing you deserve to get some certain things, you see yourself actually receiving those things. It's because you have told yourself, I deserve this. Once you start doing that, once you start believing you deserve to receive some certain things, you start receiving it, and that's just how it goes. That really changed my mindset about a lot of things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's really exciting when you realize so many things that you did not know in the past. So the next one is just start.
Start already.
Start now. Don't start tomorrow. Don't start next. Don't start next month. Don't start next year. Start now. People put off things to a certain time because of what I like to call fear. So everybody terms it as procrastination, and we know procrastination is putting things off to a later time. But the main reason why they do that is because of fear. Sometimes it's inner fear, sometimes it's outer fear. You have already told yourself in your head that this is such a big deal, this is so huge to start, so I'm going to do it later, and later becomes next week, next week becomes next month, next month becomes next year, and you keep pushing it until you realize that 6 months have gone, a year have passed, and you still haven't achieved that thing. So it's fear. But the thing is, you should tell yourself that even if I'm afraid, even if I don't want to start this thing for 10,001 reasons, I'm going to start it whether I like it or not. So I actually have this huge fear of starting new things. Like, no matter how little the thing is, if it's new to me, it just scares me. Let me tell you something. I live in Ghana, but I'm a Nigerian. But there are certain Ghanaian foods I haven't eaten. Why? Not because of any cultural bias or anything. It's just because, I don't know, there's this fear. It's just something new, so I haven't done it. People don't like going out of their comfort zones just because of it's something new and it doesn't feel familiar, so it doesn't feel safe. But you need to go out of your comfort zone for you to grow. You cannot grow in a comfortable place. That's not how it works. So you need to tell yourself, I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this. You know, just keep starting projects, keep starting things. I started my YouTube channel last year, 2020. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I kept pushing it. And when I started, I felt like, oh, it's not so bad after all. It's not as hard as I thought it was. And here I am today. So just start.
Start already.
The next one is trust God no matter the situation. I am a Christian and I'm a strong believer of godly principles and living for Christ. In 2020, earlier on, there are so many things I didn't put into God's hands, like I didn't commit, and they flopped. They turned out not as I expected. They turned out not so good. So I learned it the hard way, right? Everything you do, entrust it to God's hand. No matter the situation, commit it into God's hand before you begin. And you find out that you're turning around in so many situations. I've come to believe that anything God's hand is not in, it's not secure. Ever since I started trusting God and putting every single thing into his hands, I've seen that things are working. So trust God no matter the situation. Even if the situation looks bad, it's going to work out for good. Trust him no matter what. The next lesson is complaining solves nothing. Like, complaining literally does nothing. You're going to cry for 5 hours and nothing is going to change. The only thing that's going to change afterwards is that your eyes will hurt and you feel really hungry afterwards, or you will just have a broken spirit. So let me give you an example. In the middle of 2020, I was working up till late at night, till like 2 a.m. or thereabout, and I just written a 2,000 word plus article. It was so long and I just finished writing it. I designed all the graphics and I was like, ooh, let me save it. I'm going to optimize it the following morning and publish it. I thought it saved. It did not save. Oh my gosh. I was about going to bed. My mind just told me to check it, and I checked and I came and saw 500 words. I was like, what? Do you know I cried till morning?
I cried till morning. I cried for almost 3 hours.
I sat down, I looked at my sister and I was like so confused, so frustrated and everything. And then I just started crying. The tears came. I wept. I wet my keyboard with my tears. I wet my notebook. It was so painful to me. Like, I have to now think up 1,500 words again and write it again. I was like, no.
No.
You know what I realized? After crying, I went back to my computer. It was still 500 words. Nothing changed. It wasn't even 501. It wasn't even 502. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed is that my system died because it was on for so long and it was not plugged in. My eyes were swollen, I had puffy eyes. And I was exhausted. So complaining changes nothing. You need to get up and do something about your situation.
Life is going to kick you in your behind. But if you do not do anything about it, nothing's gonna change. Do not get up, pick yourself up, and do something about your situation. Nothing. I said nothing. Nothing is gonna change. Period.
The next lesson is be intentional. So there are so many things you say you want to do, but you're not being intentional about it. You're not making intentions around it. Nothing's gonna happen, sweetie.
You have to be intentional about your life and about things in your life.
In your life.
That's it. If you want to get something, you have to be intentional about it. And that leads me to the next lesson. Create goals. When you're intentional, you create goals. So create goals. And I know there's so much controversy around goal setting. So many things. There's so many things about goals online that could discourage you from setting goals. But I've set goals and I've actually achieved those goals. And I feel like goal setting is legit. Create goals and work on those goals. Set your boundaries. You have to know where to draw the line. Don't just accept anything into your life. You have to learn to say no to some things. And people may dislike you because of this, but that's okay. Everybody will not like you. You're no ice cream. You have to set boundaries. The next lesson is humility is key. So you have to learn to be humble. So every time you're raising shoulder. Like, no one's a competition. Don't look at next person as a competition. You have to learn to bring yourself down sometimes. Which brings me to the next lesson, which is be considerate. You have to learn to put yourself in the shoes of others. And I know that this may come as a little bit harsh, but sometimes think about the next person. It's not always going to be about you. Be considerate to the next person. Even when you go to public places and you feel like, I'm paying for these things for myself, if your action puts the next person in harm's way, think about it. You need to learn to be considerate about the next person. Stop the comparison. Stop comparing yourself to the next person. Your strengths and the next person's strengths is not the same. Your weakness and the next person's weakness is not the same. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you can achieve a certain thing, but the next person is doing better than you and you guys are doing the same thing, instead of comparing yourself to the next person, think about it this way. If they have gotten there and they can achieve it, that means you can. That is a better perspective than for you to compare yourself to the next person or for you to envy the next person. Next one is channel your energy to the right things. So you see, people spend a lot of time doing frivolous things, doing things that don't lead up to where they are going to. You want to go to a certain destination where you're following the wrong routes. That's basically what it means. Do things that lead up to your destination. Channel your energy to the right. Next one is people will talk no matter what. Like, you cannot please everybody. That's just the truth. If you have heard of the story of a little boy and his father going along the way, the father had a bicycle and he put his little boy on the bicycle and he was walking beside it, and people said, oh, little boy, how can you stress your old grandpa? Why would he walk and you take the bicycle? So he came down and the grandfather sat on the bicycle. As they were going along the way, some people said, old man, why would you stress your little boy and you're sitting on the bicycle while your little boy is walking? So he came down and both of them were walking and the bicycle was going, and another person said, why you guys have a bicycle and you're both walking? So different people spoke at different times when they did different things. So people will talk no matter what. You cannot stop it. It's just something that will happen. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, which leads me to the next and final one, which is self-love. People will talk no matter what, but you have to learn to love yourself. There's so many definitions of self-love and there's so much controversy about self-love today. I feel like people that are against self-love is because they do not understand what it means. Self-love does not really mean loving yourself in a braggadocious way or carrying yourself in a braggadocious way or being arrogant. Self-love is fixing things when things are not okay. Self-love is you telling yourself, I had a setback, but I'm going to do okay the next day. Self-love is telling yourself, I didn't do so great the other day, but I'm going to try again. I'm going to try harder. Self-love is you accepting your imperfections and deciding to change only the things you can actually change. Self-love is picking yourself when you fall down. There's 1001 definition for self-love, and if I want to go down that lane, I won't finish today. So those are the 20 wonderful lessons I learned in 2020, and I hope you took something along. Even if you did not learn anything in 2020, you are in 2021. This is a new year and there's so many lessons for you to learn this year. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share this video. Leave your comments down below. Smash the subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you don't miss an update, and I'll see you in the next one.